Good evening. My name is Elizabeth Sebrin. On behalf of the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, welcome to the first of our series of candidates forums for the 2023 election season. I want to also acknowledge we have several people that are in the audience here, and we have people joining us by Zoom. Candidate Clausen is also going to be joining us on Zoom rather than in person. Tonight's forum is sponsored by the League of Women Voters of Kitsap, which is recording this event for later access. BKAT, Bremerton Kitsap Access Television, may air the tape at a later date. We would like to thank the Port Orchard City Government for allowing us the use of this meeting room. The League of Women Voters, which recently celebrated its 100th anniversary, is proud to be a nonpartisan organization, neither supporting nor opposing candidates and political parties. We do support good governance and an educated electorate, which is why we sponsor these forums. We'd like to invite any of you age 16 and older to join us in our organization and help support our mission of empowering voters and defending democracy. We have invited candidates for the Port Orchard City Council to join us tonight. Candidate for position 1, Mark Trenery, Candidate for position 1, Mark Trenery, was not able to join us. He's out of town. He sent a statement, which I will read during our closing statements this evening. Wilbur Hurt, the other candidate for position 1, did not respond to multiple attempts to reach him. Please welcome candidates for position 4, Eric Warden and John Clausen. For position 5, Heidi Fenton and Lindy Lucarelli. Position at large, Kaylin O'Connor, who is not here at the moment. I don't believe she's going to be coming. I haven't heard. And John Morrissey. We thank you for participating in this event and respect your willingness to commit to public service. Please join me in welcoming them. From now on, please hold your applause until the end of the forum. Also, because we've made arrangements to broadcast the entire forum, we ask everyone to turn off cell phones and put away recording devices. We know there is no guarantee that someone won't capture some video or audio without our knowledge. However, we hope you will cooperate in our attempts to ensure that information from the forum is not manipulated to create false or misleading impressions or used for campaign purposes. The public was invited to submit questions through the League's website. These are among the questions I will ask tonight. If you are here in attendance and have questions for the candidates, write them on the cards that have been available to you. Please keep your questions short and, of course, respectful. And I'm asking the candidates to keep their responses respectful also. Thank you. And I received one question from the audience, and that kind of matches with one of the questions we're going to be using tonight. So we will address that. So candidates, let's get started. Here are the ground rules. Each of you, in a rotating order, will have 60 seconds to respond to each question. If you have answered a question and there is time remaining, you may speak about a previous question or clarify a statement. At the end of the forum, each of you will have 1.5 minutes to make a closing statement. Our timekeeper, Carol Larson, right here, will indicate to you when there are 30 seconds left and when time is up. And she has these signs for you to see. Any questions before we get started? Yes.
I'm just curious if a closing statement can be read. In the past, I've seen that people read from the screen, so I was just curious about that.
I'm going to read his closing statement that he sent to me.
I'm asking about if we're allowed to read a closing statement that we've written. I see that Kim Abel is nodding yes.
That you've written that, yes. Yeah, that you brought along with you.
Yes, for the purpose of closing statement.
Yes, of course.
Did you say Lindy or Cindy?
Cindy.
Okay, I misheard. Thank you. Thank you.
Okay, yeah. Are we ready?
All good.
Okay, and all right, so we got that. All right, we will begin the questioning. And tonight we will begin with Mr. Warden. Why should a voter choose you to represent city residents on the Port Orchard City Council? What special attributes will you bring to the job?
Oh, that's actually, I appreciate the question. And thanks for having me, by the way. I really appreciate it. So I think I bring a really good mixture of professional experience as well as interaction with the public. So I worked for Kitsap County for almost 30 years. I'm an inspector for them. I interact with the public all day. That's my job. My job is to, when someone has a concern, they call the county, and I go out there to represent them. Microphone?
Speak into your microphone a little bit more, please, sir.
Do you hear me now?
Maybe.
Is that better?
Yes.
Okay. So, is that better? I apologize. Okay, so my job represents the county. So I go out there, I enforce policy, I enforce code. But what I do is I help the public. My job is to make sure that I can mitigate any situation they have and they come out happy, or they know the reason why not what the policy is. I also deal with the public, the school system, you name it, I'm out there, and I have great interaction with them. Good combination.
All right, the next person to answer the question would, if you'd like me to read it again, I can, would be Mr. Clausen.
First off, thank you for allowing me to join virtually. Fortunately, I've contracted COVID, so I think I'm better here than with you folks. I too have been involved in our community for many, many years, serving on the council, as well as my position at Kitsap Transit. For a number of years, my position was specifically to work with the communities to work on developing bus service that would respond to the community's needs. The last 12 years,
30 seconds.
I've served as the executive director for Kitsap Transit, but more importantly, I've been a member of Port Orchard community essentially all my life and have spent my entire career focused around Port Orchard and Port Orchard's needs and working with the community to establish that. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mrs. Fenton, you will be next.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I believe my attributes are positive and working with people. And the reason why I'm running for city council is because I feel there's kind of a lack of people's voices. And so I want to bring that back.
We think the microphone might not be on.
Oh, I'm sorry. There we go. Okay, should I start over? Can you hear me better now? Okay. Yeah, I feel like there's, I'm very positive and a good leader. I've been here in Port Orchard for 25 years, in the city for 7. And I hear the businesses and people, and I feel like there's a lack of people's voices being heard. And I really feel like I can bring that back to city council for being positive and really listening to the people, because what do? We work for the people. The government doesn't work for, the people doesn't work for the government. We work for the people, and that's what I'm all about. Okay. 30 seconds left. Sorry. Oh, and then especially I've been on the Port Orchard Rotary, and that really helps out with the community. So I know how to just, be a part in a servanthood. It's our motto is service before self, and I truly believe that. And then I'm also part of the Bay Street Business Association. And so I'm really tuned into the businesses. And I see a need for city council to work better with the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Lucarelli?
I've served on the Port Orchard City Council since 2011. So I have experience in the area of leadership and in serving our community. I've been very involved with Utilities Committee, the Sewer Advisory Committee, which is so glamorous, Festival of Chimes and Light, which is a huge area that I've been covering for the last 11 or 12 years. And I have a huge history of being involved in the community, in the Rotary as past president, actually, and serving on boards for the Olympic College Foundation, and very plugged in attuned to listening to what people have to say and taking it back to our committees and trying to implement what's been requested or looking ahead to the future to make plans for our city. I think actually that my experience is a good fit. I've been here for a long time and we're not finished with our projects yet. So I look forward to serving another 4 years. Thank you.
Thank you. And Mr. Morrissey.
Yes, thank you for inviting me and allowing us this time to speak with our community. My name's John Morrissey. I am the current general manager of Kitsap RV here on Bay Street. I am also Port Orchard representative on the Kitsap Public Facilities District Board of Directors. I'm the current chairman of the Greater Kitsap Chamber of Commerce, where I took both the Bremerton Chamber of Commerce and the Silverdale Chamber of Commerce and merged them together to become one entity, as well as the immediate past president of the Downtown Bremerton Association. So through my time in banking and working in our community, I've brought my skill set of consensus building to different facets of our community. And now I'm ready to take that next step with our local government. So I'm here tonight to help share some of my views on why I'd be a great fit for that. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next question, and we'll begin this time with Mr. Clausen. What is your plan to encourage more business to locate in downtown Port Orchard? How would you assist downtown businesses if elected?
Well, I think our projects that we have currently underway with increasing the capacity of the utilities, the community center that we're working on for the downtown area, improvements to Bay Street to accommodate sea level rising, and creating a better area for community events such as the farmers market and a new place for the library. I think all of these are going to contribute to a resurgent of our downtown area. Certainly working with the various businesses and the building owners to try to get them to refurbish their buildings and make them
30 seconds.
more attractive for businesses, as well as just, again, working with businesses to support their needs. I just recently was awarded by the Kitsap Economic Development Alliances the 2023 Economic Champion Award, which I'm very, very proud of encouraging commercialization wherever it's feasible. Thank you.
Thank you. And next, Mrs. Fenton.
Thank you. I am a part of, like I said, the Port Orchard Bay Street Association. And so I'm down there and I talk to the businesses. There's a new business that came in and it's the Find That Pathway book store down there. And they were unloading and they got a couple of tickets already. And they went to a different parking zone and got more tickets. And I think the city council could be a lot more friendly with the new businesses, like give them a pass for new businesses that come in. So they're not getting tickets that are unloading right in front of their store. And I'm very aware and I talk to them and I volunteer even at the farmers market. And I am a part of that. I go down there, I shop down there, I shop at the local businesses. And so I think we as city council can very well plug in. And then when it comes to the community center, yeah, that will bring in more jobs, more revenue. And I think we really need to pay attention to with, homes and that pathway and businesses down there because boop, stop. I can carry on later.
Okay, you can always finish your sentence also. Yeah. Okay, and next, Ms. Lucarelli.
Could you please repeat the question?
Yes. What is your plan to encourage more businesses to locate in downtown Port Orchard? How would you assist downtown businesses if elected?
So I've been a part of downtown Port Orchard for a considerable amount of time. I'm not sure if people are aware, but back in 2009, we actually had an event downtown that changed really the face of our community. We have a noted author who lives in Port Orchard named Debbie Maycumber, and a small group of us put together an event called Cedar Cove Days. What we wanted to do is to revitalize or start revitalization in downtown Port Orchard. And as a result of that effort, there were people that came from 42 states and 8 foreign countries. It was amazing. And it was the beginning of a time when the downtown was recognized and cleaned up with a paint the town effort. And it was changing the glass from half empty, I'm sorry. It was changing the attitude of the whole area to one of more positivity. So it was, that's just one area that we were dealing in. I too have been part of Rotary and other clubs and have been involved with what's going on with the community center and all the improvements that will be downtown. It's going to be a whole different place in just a short time.
Thank you. Mr. Morrissey.
Yes, thank you for the question. I could probably sit and talk about this all night. And I'm still involved with the Downtown Bremerton Association. It is really about building a main street, right? I'm on that board 1 year longer than it had been anticipated because we had a job to do. When I joined that board, the #1 strategic goal was to hire an executive director. I worked tirelessly over the last 8 years to get that job done, and I'm happy to report that at the end of January this year, we were able to hire an executive director and be one step closer to becoming a Main Street organization. I'd like to bring the Main Street program to Port Orchard as well. What that does is allow us to keep up to $250,000 in B&O taxes right here in our community by getting that designation from the state. Instead of sending those dollars to Olympia to be reallocated to some other community, I'd like to keep them right here. As well as I'm on the steering committee for the Community Event Center on behalf of the Public Facilities District. So there's a lot that still can be done. And I have a lot of ideas. That's just the beginning.
Thank you. Mr. Warden.
There we go. I definitely think we need to do more mixed-use housing. And when we do that, we need more commercial space down below. We need to offer different size businesses, more options, more inviting for smaller businesses. I think we need a fast track permitting. So when a business is coming in, that they're not sitting and waiting for permitting because it takes so long and it's a big waste of their money. I deal with every aspect of development, and permitting's a big hassle. One thing that was mentioned is what we currently have in place. We need to clean up the appearance of Port Orchard. I know things were cool 20 years ago when we had, Debbie's thing in town, but the appearance of downtown Port Orchard is unacceptable. We've had people on council for 20, 30, 40 years. In downtown Port Orchard, we have crumbling sidewalks out there. We have curbs that are missing. We have overgrown vegetation. It needs cleaned up to bring more businesses in. It needs to be more welcoming, more inviting.
Thank you.
Thanks.
All right, the next question we will begin with Mrs. Fenton. And the question is, what projects in Port Orchard over the past 4 years do you think made the biggest difference and why?
Well, 4 projects. Well, I think the pathway is one that is a lot of people enjoy that. We need to finish it. And I feel like I could be a bridge because the last 5 years we got dilapidated buildings down and we're not finishing the project. And I feel like I could be a bridge to get that finished and get the lawyers out of the way. And we're doing the just with the marina. The marina is always improving and, getting the station down there. And I feel like City Hall should, work with the marina hand in hand. And because what a beautiful waterfront we have. And then just with more businesses coming in, I see new businesses coming and we want to keep them. And like you say, I think that's not the improvement, but I would love to see the downtown, the main street get very much improved. And then right downtown, we're working on the community center, and that's going to take a little while, but that will be really good.
Thank you. Miss Lucarelli.
Actually, the building blocks have been put in place for what's going to be happening in the next several years. Even though we haven't seen actual work being done, just the whole process of acquiring the Kitsap Bank property to be able to put the community center there is just a huge plus for what has happened. And then all of the plans in place for the bank relocating to just the lot down on Fredericks, and the commitment that's been made by the bank to have its headquarters there and employing 100 people right in that area. All of those things, along with the new marina pump station that's going to be started in just a year, and the public plaza that will be down in the waterfront, it's completely changed the whole face of Port Orchard and what's going to be happening in the future. It's such a positive experience to know that we're going to have the library in the community center, that we're going to have the public being able to be right down on the waterfront, that the parking is no longer going to be the forefront of our waterfront, that we're going to actually have people down there with plazas and green space, and that's just the beginning of the momentum that we need, and I need to stop. Thank you.
Mr. Morrissey.
Can you repeat the question?
Yes. What projects in Port Orchard over the past 4 years do you think made the biggest difference and why?
Okay, so I wanted to make sure I heard that correctly, because there are things kind of in process and things complete, right? I think a once in a generational transformational project is commencing in our community event center. I say that on behalf of the board of directors for the Public Facilities District, who made their initial $12 million investment, who've now also made a commitment to fund even further that's led to $165 million of investment on Bay Street. So that's one. I think there's been a ton of other projects that have already come to fruition that we can talk about. Some of the roundabouts that have been installed have made huge impacts on our traffic. We know that there's going to be 4,500 new housing units in the course of the next 10 years. And we have to keep our infrastructure projects top of mind. A lot of what city council does isn't super sexy. It's sewers, it's roads, it's infrastructure. We've got to make sure that we continue to plan for that, for what we have today, but for our children as well.
Thank you. Mr. Warden.
All right. I agree that there's been a lot of planning over the 4 years, and not everybody can see it, but it's still money that's been spent, and money that's going to be spent wisely. Definitely, the traffic mitigation and the roundabouts. Not everyone's a fan of them, but they're super important. Traffic mitigation is probably one of my biggest issues that I have. I just want more of it. When you have more of that, it's better that's a win for everybody. Utilities, I've been in utilities for almost 30 years. So I have great appreciation for them. And definitely we have lift stations going in place and upgrades, and your sewer system is probably one of the most important things you possibly could have. So that's definitely a big one. Yeah. Could ramble on, apologize for that. All right.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Thank you.
Mr. Clausen.
Yes, I think Mr. Morrison covered an awful lot of the major projects. I think the traffic improvements, Tremont is a good example. The roundabouts we've installed there, the planning that we're doing for roundabouts in the Bethel corridor to improve the traffic flow in that area. I think those are all traffic-wise very important. The utility improvements, we've been doing a lot of upgrading our utilities, both the availability of water as well as some of the improvements to the wellheads and the treatment of water, as well as the wastewater treatment and the lift stations that we included there. Certainly
30 seconds.
The paving project that we've been doing to just maintain our streets throughout. We invested $1 million in paving this past year just to improve the streets that we have, so we don't get too far behind on those. The pathway is a good example of some other projects that we've done to make an improvement. And then I would just come back to that community center is going to be very important to the community. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. The next question will begin with Ms. Lucarelli. What is your top priority to work on with the homelessness crisis, and what would you do to support a solution?
The homeless crisis is very complex, and we've already been dealing with it. I think most of you are aware that we had a huge situation going on at Veterans Park, in which there were about 130 to 140 people actually living there and causing some issues because of the filth, of the drug abuse, of maybe even trafficking that was going on. It wasn't a safe place for anyone living there. And what we had to do is pressure the county, because of its being a county park, to work on helping the people decide what services were needed for the various people if they wanted them. Homeless situation is something that's nationwide and not going to be solved quickly. What it is it has some things to do with the housing crisis to a degree, but more than anything, I believe it has to do with the drug addiction and the road that people have been taking with addiction and losing touch with reality. It's very complex. I think it's very important for us to help the people that need the help and accept it, especially women and children, and try to get services for the people who want to get off of their addiction. And in other cases, what we're doing is we need to protect the public from the damage that can be done, because there are safety issues and property issues when there are people stealing for their addictions. So it's a combination of compassion and law enforcement that's very necessary. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Morrissey.
Yes, thank you for the question. Good one. I have to agree with Cindy that it's a complex issue. But as somebody who sells RVs for a living, I know that it is a housing issue. And I think we hear about the housing first approach. I'd be interested to learn more about that as well. But probably 1 in 4 customers coming into my dealership now are looking for a place to live. That's a problem. When I moved here more than 10 years ago, I bought my house and it's tripled. They sell now triple. My neighbor sold that for what I paid 10 years ago. So we've got to find a way to add more housing. I know Port Orchard's already done a lot of things to plan for that and add 4,500 new housing units in the coming years. But I don't know if that's enough. We've seen in the news what's been going on in Bremerton. I've been working on some of those issues over there for some years with not a lot of luck with the local government. And we've seen what that can do in the news. And we have to know that that's coming our way. I think I read an article just last week that said one of their solutions was to hand a bus ticket for when the Kitsap Rescue Mission opens up in our community as well. So there's work to be done. Housing's one of the top issues.
Thank you. Mr. Warden.
The data shows that it's not necessarily affordable housing. It's mental illness and it's drugs. Affordable housing is definitely a big part of it, but we have to address and we have to have resources. Every week I drive Silverdale, I drive the trails, and I count new homeless people. I take photos of them. I call it into the Heart Foundation, the Heart Group. They go out there, they talk to them, they offer them resources. They offer them hotels. Mm-hmm. They don't offer them resources to get assistance. We need to work with our neighbors. We need to work with Bremerton, Paulsbo, obviously Port Orchard, Kitsap County, and we need to pull our resources together and build a resource center. We have to work and communicate with the people around us. On the peninsula, we don't offer anything. And if you don't offer anything, you're going to house them in your parks. And I do want to applaud Kitsap County for their stormwater department that removed like 100 tons of trash out of those parks. They worked really hard and did a great job.
Thank you. Mr. Clausen?
Yes, I agree that I think one of the major problems is mental health, and we need to work with the mental health community to establish more services that are available, because right now, as we know, there's a shortage of mental health providers, not only in our community, but in the state of Washington at least. So I think that's a major portion. We also need to work with the affordable housing side of the issue. I know there is a need for affordable homes. We did a lot with the tax abatement program to establish a percentage of affordable multifamily units. I think the other thing in working with developers,
30 seconds.
one of the things that we've done recently is to improve our permitting process. So the time that it takes to get a permit at Port Orchard is much shorter than our surrounding communities. And I think time is money. So those are all things that can contribute to the problem.
Thank you. And Mrs. Fenton.
Yes, this is actually near and dear to my heart. And I've been going to different agencies or different places and learning about it. And it is quite, we have to collaborate and with churches, with other agencies. And we do have in our community, there are a lot of people that are very equipped to this. And we as a city council and people need to reach out to them and work together. And I think the people right here in our city have some great ideas in our community. And we need to work with the law enforcement and, band together and really come up with stuff. And then have a list of when we come across, a homeless or the mental illness, that there is a place for them. And there's already places. We just need to know that and be able to direct them to that. Now, I know it's hard if you want to be on drugs and you don't want to get help, but there are people that do want to get help, and we can have the solutions as a community to at least, go in a positive and fix this direction.
Thank you. Next question is a little bit longer. Do you feel the city has adequate infrastructure such as roads, parking, water, and sewer to accommodate the influx of people brought by the many apartment buildings being constructed on the outskirts of Port Orchard? If not, how do you propose to pay for improvements? And we start with Mr. Morrissey.
That feels like a loaded question, mostly because I think it is. So we're going to try and unpack it as much as we can in 90 seconds, because that's probably also a whole evening's worth of discussion. Do we have the existing infrastructure? That answer has to be no. We're literally building on houses where no infrastructure lives right now. I live in McCormick Meadows, the edge of town, past McCormick Woods, where there continues to be a ton of housing being built. I was on a bike ride yesterday and wandering through there where they're putting in that infrastructure. Yes, we need more of it. Yes, it's going to be costly. And yes, I think that we need to find a way to make it equitable for all, meaning it can't just be on the shoulders of those of us taxpayers who already live here. But I also don't want to put 100% of it on the shoulders of our developers either. It will make things unaffordable for them to do that. And the things that are going on in Olympia make that happen hard enough already. So I think we need to share in that burden. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Warden.
Spot on. So I'm really frustrated with certain things. In 2009 to 2014, I was delivering files to the city of Port Orchard from Kitsap County. The annex McCormick Woods, the city annex Fred Meyer, the annex Walmart, the annex Safeway area. Here we are, 2023, and now we're increasing sales tax to now start building traffic mitigation. That's unacceptable. That's unacceptable. I live in McCormick Woods as well. There's a water issue, water shortage out there. When they annexed McCormick Woods, they knew how many plats were out there. I knew how many plats were out there. That's unacceptable. We need to start planning better. We're already sales tax has already been hit. We're going to build roundabouts down Bethel, but we have to start planning better. It's not even optional. We have to start doing a better job.
Thank you. Mr. Clausen.
Yes, I think, we've been working on our utilities, and we can't allow development if there isn't sufficient utilities to support it. You bring on some of those things called moratoriums, and we do have utility systems that are there and able to support. We have backup systems, connection with the city of Bremerton if we need additional waters, for example. We're making improvements to our lift station to accommodate that. the whole issue of
30 seconds.
where we're the weakest right now is traffic. We've got to make improvements for traffic. The sales tax issue is something that just recently became available to the city of Port Orchard. It wasn't available before. It's a method for which we can fund, as well as impact fees, that each of the units that are being developed is contributing towards a solution on traffic, as well as impacts to parks and other areas as well. So I agree with Mr. Morrissey. It's got to be a combination, but an awful lot of it is that new development is paying the expense of development.
Mrs. Fenton.
Okay, thank you. I agree with Eric over here, and I also agree with no more sales tax. We are taxed enough, and our city council wants to raise it again. And the impact fees for the new developments, it went from 800 to 5,000, just like that. Now, why didn't it go a little bit more lower and at a couple years and move it up? The developers now they have to deal with it, and in general, then it's going to have to be the homeowners to deal with that. And our roads, we're not doing our roads first properly. We're putting the cart before the horse. And look at all the apartments coming up and over just on Blueberry. They want a ton of apartments are going, and they don't even have the road construction there. And even on Sedgwick, they changed it where you can go in one way and you can't, and then come in another way. And I've talked to the businesses and homeowners with the way they changed that road out there. It's not helpful. And so we definitely have to work on roads before all this more housing development comes in.
Thank you. Ms. Lucarelli.
For one thing, utilities are a dedicated fund. They're not part of the general fund of the city. So there are pots of money that come from different sources in our city, and that helps to determine what can be done. The city has an extensive comprehensive plan that plans for build out into the future. And it actually takes care of planning for utilities, roads, and all of that. What happened is that the funding for roads changed dramatically. I don't even remember how many years ago, where the federal government was so involved in helping to fund streets and roads, and that has changed. We are still working now to seek grants. A big change for our area will be when we have several new roundabouts built on Bethel, which is one of the corridors that has huge issues right now. It will alleviate some of the congestion and will help get some of the traffic flow going. We also have issues that we have state highways running through our city, and that is something that we do not manage. That is something we have to go to the state for, and we are constantly putting pressure on them to deal with these issues, and that would be Sedgwick coming in through Bethel and down on Bay Street here is where we have a lot of congestion. The plans are in place. We're working very hard to move forward.
Thank you. There was one more question from the audience, from people here. We're not going to address it though, because it was a question for just one candidate. And so if you would like to ask that candidate afterwards, you can feel free to do that, please. Now's the time for final thoughts and responses. Candidates, you will each have 90 seconds to give your closing statements. I will begin by reading Mark Trinery's statement. And after that, we will start with Mr. Gordon. My name is Mark Trinery, and I am running for re-election to the Port Orchard City Council. I am sorry to be missing this event, but my wife and I have had this trip to see our grandkids on our schedule for several months. We have lived in Port Orchard for the last 36 years, raising our family and enjoying gardening and the privacy our little sanctuary provides us in Port Orchard. I run a small business located in Port Orchard and have done so for over 27 years. I have been consulting and solving problems for businesses around the Puget Sound area for over 40 years. I am a past president and current member of the South Kitsap Rotary Club. I serve as a longstanding board member on the Chamber of Commerce, as well as the Kurt Wagner Educational Fund, an organization that has raised and provided over $120,000 in funding for classroom teacher grants and scholarships. I also facilitate the Memorial Bench Program, working with citizens who wish to memorialize their loved ones with a bench placed along our beautiful waterfront pathway. I served as a member of the Port Orchard City Planning Committee for 5 years prior to running for and winning a seat as a council member in 2021. Over the years, we've seen tremendous growth in our town, much quicker than anyone could have anticipated, and perhaps more than some of us would like. Unfortunately, the state of Washington's Growth Management Act requires growth to create more density rather than sprawl. When an area experiences extreme growth like we've seen, there are issues that rise quickly and are very expensive to fix. Traffic congestion, water, sewer, and wastewater treatment all must be updated with improved capacities. Community safety and homelessness are also issues that need to be addressed. Decisions need to be made on behalf of all our citizens based on a priority, value, cost, benefit analysis. This analysis process is much like what I've used to run my business for all these years. Our citizens need people on our council who are experienced decision makers, who are fiscally conservative and invest in our community. I'm very invested in my community and passionate about helping to direct the future of Port Orchard. If I am reelected, I will continue to fight for what I believe is right and what my constituents tell me is in the best interest in all of us. My name is Mark Trenery, and I would appreciate your vote. So we will move to Mr. Warden for your closing statement.
Okay, I kind of blew through the original when I first started off, so I'm basically going to kind of cover it again. And basically it's my broad range of experience that I feel is needed on city council. For nearly 30 years, I've worked with taxpayers, rate and fee payers here in Kitsap County. For nearly 30 years of going to homeowners' doors, listening to concerns, working tirelessly to help mitigate their concerns. Decades of working with developers and pre-con meetings, site visits, and being compliant in state permitting, bond releases and commercial inspections, all aspects of infrastructure, decades of leadership and leadership training, decades of teamwork and problem solving. I serve on the Civil Service Commission for the City of Port Orchard. I was appointed by the mayor to sit down with the chief of police discussing policy, contracts, hiring, and staffing. I serve with two respectable people. I worked with the South Kitsap School District. I'm a high school varsity baseball coach. I sit on hiring panels to interview boards for districts, and I'm asked to do many, many things for them as well. I receive awards from the school districts. So I'm heavily involved. I list my involvement in youth sports, but it'd take all night. I'm a very involved person in multifacets, and I'd appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Clausen.
Thank you. I've been a member of this community essentially all my life. I've been a small business owner in downtown Port Orchard for a number of years before I entered my career in the public sector. I spent a number of years on the Civil Service Commission as well many years ago. And from there, I was appointed to fill a vacancy on the city council, and I have remained a member of the city council for over 40 years. So I have been blessed with the support of the community in going forward. I've got many years of experience, not only in the city government, but other public sector governments. But more importantly, I'm very interested in the future of Port Orchard and being a part of it. As I said, I was born and raised here in Port Orchard. 2 of my 3 children live in Port Orchard. 3 of my 4 grandchildren also live in Port Orchard. And I think it's very important that the future is held for them as well. So thank you very much, and I appreciate this opportunity to participate.
Thank you, Mr. Clausen. Next, Mrs. Fenton.
Okay, thank you. I feel like, some people are saying that they got lots of experience, but does that experience really seek out what the people want? Do they listen to the people? And that is my first and foremost, is the people's voice and how we can work with them and getting the things done. I have I want transparency with even the budget, transparency on giving decisions for whatever, when it comes to the roads and this and how do things get done, and transparency. And, $11 million is fixing up the city hall right now. And then I have no hidden agenda. I'm going to have accountability to the people. I will always advocate for the businesses. I feel like businesses are the backbone to our community. And listen to the people again. That is that is why I'm even running, because I feel like their voice isn't heard that much. Fiscal responsibility, that is huge, and responsible infrastructure. And we've talked about that tonight. And then open communication. I will do things different when I'm in city council. I will respect the people that talk and get back to them. And then also plan maybe in the middle of the week when they do a community, when they do city council gets together and just they can talk. I think it should be changed up where half of the city council talks and then the people get to have their voice and then city council gets to talk again, because we need to bring the people back together.
Thank you. Ms. Lucarelli?
First of all, I want to thank you, all of you, for the League of Women Voters for this opportunity. I'm no stranger to you, as I have been involved in local politics and civic matters for some 18 years now. I was elected to the council position in 2011, have served as mayor pro tem 2014 and 22. Also have served on committees for ED tourism and public property, and now I am chair of 3 committees: utilities, sewer advisory, and the Festival of Chimes and Lights. I have been a volunteer and fundraiser for local nonprofits for 20 years here in this community and have 29 years of business ownership experience. All that to say is I've been working to be part of the solution to the issues that have arisen over the years I have served. The city has come a long way from what was 12 years ago. We are moving forward right now with downtown revitalization. We have growth occurring in every area. We will see traffic congestion eased with the roundabouts soon to be built, but will continue to advocate for grant funds to continue with our transportation improvement plans and pressure the state to deal with our state highway corridors. The utility sector has long-range plans to manage the growth, with advocating for water rights to allow for Well 13 to go online to serve a majority of our areas and rebuild the Marina Pump Station to allow for additional conveyance of sewage to our sewer plant. We will continue to support our police by providing the necessary equipment and fair salaries so that our community will remain a safe place to live. I am a 21-year resident of Port Orchard, an experienced leader in the Port Orchard community, and am better equipped than ever to run for re-election to the Port Orchard City Council.
Thank you. And Mr. Morrissey?
Yes, thank you. Thank you to the League of Women Voters. I'm running for city council because I want to make a difference in our community, our families, and our future. I imagine most people are like me, and they want a flourishing community with great roads and trails and options on where to spend their time and money. Over the past years, I've spent my time raising my family and doing that right here with leaders throughout our county, and I'd like to bring my experience to you. I moved away from Omaha, Nebraska. My family still lives there. It's a great place to be from. When I discovered Port Orchard, I still tell this. I've probably told it to several people up on the dais today. There's only one other place on earth I'd live, and it's way too expensive for me to do so. So I fell in love with this area. I want to make sure that we continue to create a great future for our community, for our families, and a place that I know that my son can come back and call home. Thank you, and I would appreciate your vote.
Thank you. Thank you, candidates. I appreciate you coming here, and the tape of this will be available so people that weren't able to attend can listen, or you can go and listen to hear what you said. Sometimes that's easy to do too, right? Okay, and voters, hopefully this forum has helped you choose your candidates. Ballots for the November 7th general election will be mailed by October 20th, so keep an eye out for them. The League is encouraging you to vote early and return your ballots promptly. And thank you for coming tonight.
Thank you. Thank you.